Looks like Yordan Alvarez is down for a little bit longer than anticipated. The road trip didn't wrap up the way they wanted it to, but they come home for a 9-game homestand, hoping the Astros get back on their winning ways after a day off. Let's talk about this on tonight's Locked On Astros.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beerling's back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right. Brett is, he was writing a love poem earlier to today's lineup. A sonnet, if you will, about all the ways he loves today's lineup. And if you love today's lineup and you love listening to the Locked On Astros podcast, go and make us your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and become an everydayer. Somebody that listens to our podcast every day, just go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go ahead and check us out. We got a lot to discuss. The weekend wasn't all that great. There was some ups and downs. Definitely talk about Alvarez going on the IL. Somebody's got to fill in his shoes. Jose Abreu looks like he's going to be that guy, but they need other people to step up. Or I'll also talk about Cleveland series overall. The Astros also going down to a 5-man rotation. We're going to also start a new segment in the third segment called the Minor League Spotlight, Monday Minor League Spotlight. And kind of outro topic today, we're going to talk about what Dana Brown said the trade targets are. Like, we're still, about 45 days away from the trade deadline. So we still got some time. But don't forget that the Astros do play the Nationals Tuesday night at 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. They get a day off. That's what we've all been waiting for. Catch every first pitch of the Astros hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Astros. So, Brett, it broke my heart. I saw it coming. Alvarez to the IL. And who's here to save the day? Da, da, da! Cesar Salazar.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jose Abreu. Caesar Salad was not the guy I was thinking about. Look, Cesar Salazar gets a start. He's the third catcher. He's on this roster so that Diaz can get starts at first and other starts. You're not hurting yourself. No, I'm just saying. So, look.
He's not replacing him. He's just kind of on the roster so he can. Yeah.
Hey, you
can't replace Alvarez. You cannot replace Alvarez.
No. Look, but what you like to see it, and I want to talk about that, in a little bit. I think it's important for us to talk about Alvarez because, Alvarez is like 20-something% of this offense, the league leader in RBI. He had really been hitting the ball well. Really, when nobody else was going, he was going. Tucker's been kind of like someone said here. Tucker's been kind of MIA lately. Bregman has heated up, but if you look at, we'll look at the trend later on. I mean, because I like the upward trend that Jose Abreu's on, Eric. Dana Brown said before the game that it's a little bit up in the air and it will take about a week at least to get a feel for how he's going to be. So he's on the 10-day IL. I anticipate this to be longer than a 10-day IL because from what the guys on the broadcast were saying during the game is this isn't something that you just 10-day IL and you're done. Like there's more to the recovery. But you know what? There's somebody else, a key player for another team that is out probably almost till the All-Star break, and that's Aaron Judge. So both the Astros and the Yankees are missing their key sluggers in the lineup. And so, the Astros aren't the only ones going through this, but the Astros are the team that seems to have more holes right now, offensively speaking, and him being out is a huge blow.
Hey, Brett, I'll go and let you read this, but we have a Thoughts by Dusty.
Thoughts by Dusty.
Here, it's at the bottom of the screen. Brett, down.
Oh, that's a big man with some big muscles that he uses.
So he's going to need longer than a 10-day IL to recover from the oblique injuries, what Dusty Baker was saying. So I didn't want to say that, so I'm glad you got to say that. No, I'm kidding. I would have said that, but
It's all good.
So basically, you have to replace somebody who's been the only guy who's been consistent all year round. And so you can't do that with Salazar is not the answer, but what he does is he lets you have Yainer Diaz come up and play more first base and more DH and give you that extra consistent bat. He's been playing a lot better. And so you need other people like that to step up. But Alvarez, you can't replace him in the lineup. You can't go out there thinking, oh, yeah, I'm going to do what Alvarez does because he's a left-handed slugger. Outside of Tucker, you don't have another, or Salazar, I guess, but you don't have another left-handed hitter on the team. So
nope.
It's fortunate to be in the situation right now. But you know what? I think that the Astros are in good hands right now because somebody is starting to heat up, and that's Jose Abreu, because Jose Abreu was the punching bag for all Astros fans.
Oh,
yeah. And I know that this weekend he had home run in back-to-back games, something he hasn't done all year because he only had, one home run before that. But he also had back-to-back 3 RBI games. And so it looks like he's finally turning the corner. I mean, he didn't have a great game today, but not a lot of Astros hitters had a lot of games. So give us some of his stats over the last few series or whatever.
No, yeah. So his last 6 games, he's hitting .308 with 8 hits, 2 home runs, 6 RBI. The slash line of 333, 539, and 872. You would like that 333 to be closer to 400. You would love that OPS to be around 900. But in June, he's hitting 290. In April, he started out at 235. He dipped a lot in May at 180. And in June overall, again, he's back. He's up to 290. So everything that Estrada and all the guys were saying was they're not worried about Abreu, where we clearly were. That is something that you need to get going. But look, it's not just him. It's got to be Bregman. It's got to be Tucker. It's got to be Pena. Dubon is still hitting the ball when Altuve's in there. Still not sure why Altuve had a day off with the day off tomorrow. Not sure that I would have fielded the lineup that Dusty had today. I respect a lot of what Dusty does, but it was a head scratcher. It was almost, and there were a lot of fans who I think rightfully so had the opinion that, oh, this is one of those, let's lose this as quick as we can to get home. Now, obviously that's not what they're going to do, but that's what it felt like today, because you go on this road trip, Eric, and you go 2-6.
It was 2-5.
2-5. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it felt like 2-17. I mean, it was, that game the other night when the Astros were up 6-5, they had 2 strikes and 2 outs. We could have won. There were other points in that game. The Astros could have closed the door.
Right.
In that 14-inning game, Eric, that was the longest game this year, 4 hours and 3 minutes. The longest game in Major League. So
the Astros just finished a 17 consecutive game streak. We'll talk about another impact in a second about this ending. They were 9-8 during that stretch. You would like to see a little bit more, but they kind of hit a little wall, so to speak, at the end. They were slashing 246, 315, 397. It was going up a little bit, but now you're without Alvarez for we don't know how long. So now it's just finding out what their identity is. And we saw Dusty Baker and we saw Joe Espada kind of talk about it in today's game. Well, since we have Alvarez out of the lineup, we're kind of focused more on stealing bases more, making not waiting for the action, but making action happen. And so the Astros are just trying to find their new identity. identity. They can't just wait on for Alvarez to hit that big, get that big hit, or you don't have the parts you need right now. And so it sucks. But in a second, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about the series and then talk about maybe going back to a 5-man rotation. But this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors.
That's right. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. Well, that lineup kind of puts that into question today, but that's okay. We're talking about eBay Motors here because it's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. You just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items apply. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Astros play the Nationals Tuesday night, 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch every pitch of the Astros hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Astros. You know, Eric, it was hard for me not to throw some shade at Dusty during that read because I was like, well, you know, if you don't have the right lineup, kind of like the competitors, I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. But, you know, this series was frustrating, Eric, because the Indians are one of the lowest scoring teams in baseball.
Right.
They hit the fewest home runs. They've clearly struggled. We got to McKenzie. We actually won the game he pitched. I mean, he didn't dominate us. We jumped on him early, like you talked about, the small ball, the moving the runners. And that was a solid win. Now, they tried to make another comeback. I was like, I do not want a second game in a row where they come back and go to extra innings and we lose again. But they packed their house, you know, tip your hats to the Guardians fans. You know, they packed their house to watch their team, but this is a series you easily could have won. The Blue Jays series probably was out of your hands just because of the first two games of the starting pitchers. You could have at least split, I think, but golly, so many things happened. So many things went wrong, Eric. A lot of errors, a lot of pitching mistakes, a lot of fielding mistakes, a lot of decisions that were just, I mean, we played some bad defense this weekend, and ultimately it was to our demise. Regardless of the lineup today, it was our demise, I think.
Yeah, I know the Astros only had 4 hits today, and you didn't have any stolen bases. I know they had Gallagher behind the plate today. First 2 games, they had Zunino behind the plate, and the Astros took advantage of that. I believe they had, 9 stolen bases in the first 2 games, and
yeah, they did.
They're just running like crazy.
It was like the 80s. It was like Vince Coleman and Ricky Henderson were unleashed.
And I saw a stat from I think it was Bob Nightingale, but base runnings up to 1.8 stolen bases per game, up from 1.4 from last year. Then stolen base success is up to 79.7%. That's the highest in history. Last year it was 75.4%. So the rule changes is definitely leading to more stolen bases. You've got the shorter distance between bases. You have you can only disengage so many times, and so runners are taking advantage of it. And so I think that I love the running game. I think it goes back to retro baseball, and it gets more people excited because you want to see the home run ball, but you also like to see stolen bases because it's exciting. You have the plays at second base where, like today, I forgot who it was, but somebody slid in second base, one of the Guardians, and then he just kind of slid off the bag just a little bit with his toe. And then you had Julks almost get a stolen base today, but the second baseman or shortstop, whoever it was.
I thought they could have. I'm sorry. I thought they could have challenged that because wasn't he blocking the plate?
Well, I don't know I think you could still. I don't know the rule exactly. I know it's home plate. You can't block until you have the ball.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if that's put your feet. I don't think you can put your body in front of the plate.
Well, Dusty Baker would have known that rule, and they would have argued that if that was the case.
with the lineup today, you think he was worried about that rule? I don't think so. Look, I love Dusty, respect the heck out of the guy. I really don't know that that was on. Like, Dusty Baker is not that kind of manager to me.
Right.
Because there have been a lot of times where you're like, why didn't he challenge? I just think he's like, don't worry about it. I mean, the game was kind of out of hand, but you know what hasn't happened this year? Just a random thing. We haven't had a no-hitter.
Period.
We haven't had a no-hitter at all this year, because there was about to be the first no-hitter from a pitcher yesterday or today that went like 8 2/3 innings and it got stopped. Hendricks. You can look that up. I don't think there's been a no-hitter yet this season.
I swore there was, but you could be right. But let me see.
Anyways, so
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there haven't been any no-hitters. So with that being said, Eric, so what you're telling me is off the air is there's no 6-man rotation anymore.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, definitely that they mostly had that because they're going to have the 17 straight games. They have an off day. Then they do play 9 straight games. Then they have another off day. So, yes, you have 9 straight games, but that's not that abnormal. That's something that they can work with. So they decided that they're going to go ahead and they need some more arms in a bullpen, and that they're going to just go ahead and go to a 5-man rotation. This is what Dana Brown said. At the end of the day, we'll be back to a 5-man rotation. Ronel Blanco will work in long relief. And he said that, and Dusty Baker said he's done well on Ronel Blanco. We expect him to do well, and we need him to do well.
And of course, I think a lot of people's like knee-jerk reaction is, especially after Brandon Bielak's game today, is Brandon Bielak needs to be the long relief guy and Blanco needs to be the starter. Well, you need your guy that started, that has a lot more starts under his belt, like Bielak. Look, Bielak hasn't been terrible. Bielak actually has done well. He has given up a lot of hits, but he's at some point limited the damage to where he's gotten a few wins under his belt. You know, today was just not a good game. The energy was kind of zapped out of the stadium, I think, from the first pitch, it seemed like. But Ronel Blanco will get a chance, I think, at some point to start, to be stretched out. But I think they mean it when they talk about long relief, Eric. You're going to see him go into a game for 4 or 5 innings, and that will be huge to help the bullpen, because the bullpen was gassed.
Yeah, that's not a good thing,
no, but if your starter goes out early, I would rather one guy go in.
Well, that's what I mean. If the starter goes out, then you don't want that. You don't wish that. That's like, don't.
No, I know. No, but I'm just saying he's what? Well, I know, but I think he's the right guy for that position. And even if it's not 4 or 5, even if you want him, let's just say the back end of your bullpen is taxed. Abreu and Presley are taxed. You can put Blanco in there 6, 7, and 8, and only have to have someone in the 9th.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that'll help.
Something that France has struggled with, and it's amazing that he was able to pitch as deep as he did in his last start and the start before, is walks. He had 6 walks in Saturday's game, and in 6 2/3 innings. And luckily they had a fairly big lead, so they gave him a little bit of wiggle room, and he's able to get out of some jams. And typically Bielak gives up a lot of hits, but he typically has a knack of generating those double plays. Unfortunately, today he gave up a couple home runs and just 3 more, a couple other runs in general. But typically he's pretty reliable. Just today's game, it just wasn't there. His stuff wasn't terrible. It just honestly, the Guardians, for the most part, outplayed the Astros in this series, and it's sad to say. But with this lineup, this was I know somebody in our little chat thing was like, why do you put this lineup out there? This is a skeleton crew lineup without Alvarez in there, and you've got to get some guys some rest. You're just coming off 17 straight days of playing baseball. You got to give some guys some day off. So this is Altuve. He was out of lineup today. Now he has 2 straight days off. That's going to do wonders for him. Jeremy Pena, same thing. And Martin Maldonado, not that a lot of y'all care about him, but he's going to, that 2 days will help him as well. And so it's frustrating to see this kind of AAA lineup, so to speak. But
a lot of people called it AA lineup. I mean, they were really down on this. But look, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Belak, Eric. He has given up 53 hits in 42 innings. And that's where a lot of people see that, right? But it's you guys got to understand a term called load management. Load management is a word and is a thing that baseball clubs use. And when you talk to scouts, when you talk to player personnel, when you talk to players, they talk about load management. And it's not about June 11th. It's about October. Right. It's not about June 12th. It's about October. And whether they see I think they still see the division as theirs ultimately in the end. Their job is to get the team there in the best shape they can. So if you guys want to find a place to hang out with your buddies, you need to go to Hooters, and you can go pretty much anywhere. You can go Katy, Sugarland, Humble, Stafford, Baytown, Galveston, Pasadena, Pearland, Seabrook, Webster, all over Houston. There are Hooters near you. Let me tell you, Hooters Sugarland, if you're by there, they're hosting a Give a Hoot charity golf tournament benefiting the V Foundation to help benefit and fight breast cancer. The tournament is June 15th. Stop by the store there to sign up. Also, Hooters Pearland is having a 3-on-3 basketball tournament on June 24th. Join your buddies and head over to Hooters Pearland to sign up. And who's ready for a good time? That's right. Hooters having happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 7 p.m., 10 p.m. to close. Join them anytime for $3 Blue Moon drafts and $9.99 Michelob Ultra pitchers. No matter the occasion, Hooters is ready to make you happy. The world famous Hooters girls are there. They have TVs that you'll want to watch. Pretty much any sport, whether it's UFC, whether it's NBA, whether it's, whatever sport you watch, go to Hooters. Check them out today. It's a great place. They got great wings, great food, and tell them that the Locked On Astros guys sent you. And the Astros play the Nationals Tuesday night, 7:10 p.m. Central Standard Time at Tuesday here in Houston. Catch every pitch of the Astros hometown broadcast with Sparky and Ford with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Astros.
Yes, I see a lot of people in comments saying, well, the Astros have a day off tomorrow. You didn't have to rest Altuve today. But that's the whole point. By giving Altuve a day off today, you give him 2 days off, and that will help him down the road. So there's a lot of things that go into decision-making for a manager. Am I trying to justify this crappy lineup for today that only got 4 hits? No, I'm not. But I'm just justifying what Dusty Baker is trying to think about. And I'm sure he and Joe Spada sat down and had a conversation, and Joe's probably like, Dusty, Twitter's gonna give you a whole bunch of crap for this. No. And he's like, oh, I gotta give these guys off, right?
This is what I think. Dusty's like, let me show these jokers what I'm about to do. and he hits it to a spot, and the spot is like, what's this? He goes, they're gonna love this. I 100% know that these guys do not go on Twitter and do not listen to anybody, even us, about, oh, who should we play? Who's not playing? Wait, what should we do? What's the optimal lineup? Right. We get caught up in these things, okay? They have analytics and they have things that we don't. They don't go to fan graphs and click in a formula. They don't go to Baseball Savant. They have a plan in place, and up to this point, it's worked. Now, someone has shown comparison to the Rangers lineup because the Rangers players are playing just about every single day right now, okay? And they are kicking butt. But I want to talk to y'all about a new segment that we got, and it is the Minor League Spotlight Monday. And we had someone ask this question about Forrest Whitley. And then, Eric, I'll let you answer it. And I may throw in my 2 cents. And then I'm going to share a few players that Harley and Corbin asked us to give them an update on. So Mr. Duncan from YouTube says, what do you think is more likely a scenario for Forrest Whitley, to be traded or released? Seems unlikely he'll be with the Astros when and if he reaches the majors. I think there's a third option in there, but what do you think, Eric?
I think that basically they're going to give him a chance as a reliever at the end of the year, and they're going to see what he's got. And if he just doesn't show anything, then they may just. I think they're still going to give him a shot, but if I think his days as a starter may be over. Definitely this year, but I think with all the injuries, they're going to have to really consider whether he should be a starter or reliever at this point. But I don't think he has much trade value, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't. And I think the fact they've stayed with them shows that they do ultimately have faith in him getting out there on the field. And so I think he does. I think he does make it to if they're able to get his injury issues in line, I think you'll see him on the mound at Minute Maid Park at some point this year, even if it's late in the season. So Spencer Arrighetti was the Astros minor league pitcher of the month. Harley had asked about him. This guy's got 44 career games started, a 16-10 record overall, 237 strikeouts. But this year in Corpus, 6-2. He has thrown 50.2 innings. He does have a 4.62 ERA, but he has 63 strikeouts to 19 walks and a 223 batting average against and a 118 whip. So Spencer Arrighetti is a kid of the future that we're going to be looking at.
Or trade bait.
No, they're not going to trade Spencer Arrighetti, not with the injury issues we have. Corbin right now asked about Luis Aviles Jr. Now, he was off to a slow start, much like Abreu slash line, 189, 218, 264 with 482 OPS with one home run. Then he's jumped in June. He's hit 5 home runs, Eric, in the last 3 games. He's hitting 368, 350, 1.158 and 1.508 OPS. This kid's hitting the cover off the ball. He's a shortstop, but these are some guys that are hot to trot. They are doing a really good job in the minors. And if you guys get a chance to go to any of these minor league games, I would encourage you to do that. I'm going to be talking to Jonathan Sprinkle tomorrow. I'm going to be going to Constellation Field at one point this week to talk to Joe Record, friend of the show. He's been converted from a starter to a closer. He's the Space Cowboys closer now. And Quincy Hamilton's made it up to AAA. I'm going to try to get a few questions in him. He hit 2 home runs in his first 2 games in AAA. So the Astros got some good guys coming up. They got some fun guys to watch in the minors. And maybe these guys that are getting hot in the minors will put some fire under these major league guys. I don't know.
And I hate to tell you, but a lot of these guys are getting hot. They're getting hot right before a trade deadline. And the Astros just don't have a lot of minor league depth. And yes, anybody that they have to trade, other teams aren't being like, oh, Houston, you don't have a lot of starting pitchers. Oh, we're not going to take Arrighetti from you. We're so sorry. They're not going to do that. They're going to try to get they're not going to have any pity on the Astros. They're going to go after the best talent. And if the Astros, like Shane Bieber, what this was a job interview for the Houston Astros today. This was I want to come pitch for you. I think that you have the team that can win a World Series. Trade for me. That's what this was today. But who's probably going to be trade bait? Corey Lee as well. Because Niner Diaz now.
Eric wants to trade everybody.
No, I'm saying,
I know, I'm joking.
If you want to make these additions at the trade deadline, so
sorry, go ahead.
This is what Dana Brown had to say about. He says everybody keeps on talking about pitching. When practice, we're talking about practice. No, everybody keeps on talking about pitching, but our pitching is still number one. It has been pretty good. It may not be a bad idea to add a really good bat. When we score 5 or more, we're pretty good. 30-4 entering Thursday. We'll take a look and see what's best for a team at the time, whether it's a pitcher or a hitter, and how much we have to give up. And then later on, he said, trust me. If we find a hitter, Dusty will find at bats for him. I promise you that. Whether it's left field, DH, it just depends on who we go get. He'll find some at bats, because a lot of us keep on thinking about the Christian Vasquez experience from last year. And to close out this thought, he also said, we'll still entertain if there's some pitching available that makes sense. It's still early. That's why I've been saying.
Yep. Well, look, I just want the guys to come back off a one-day rest and a 9-game homestand and kick some butt. So that's all we got for tonight. My name is H-Town Wellhouse. He is Eric Huysman.
Maybe.
And this has been another edition of Locked On Astros. Thank y'all for tuning in. This has been a great show, Eric. We got a 9-game homestand coming up. And are you going to start the music?
No, sorry. I'm trying to. Then you stopped.
I was wondering how long I was going to have to keep doing this outro. All right, we want to face the Reds, the Nationals, and anybody who comes into our house, because the Astros are going to get hot, baby, because we're always positive, always Stros. No matter what's going on, you got us every single day. Eric got you, I got you, and you know what? If nobody else got you, Kyle Tucker has you, baby. So let's go. Or Yainer Diaz. And hey, prayers up for Yordan Alvarez. Let's go. Have a good night. And as always,
go Stros.